Republicans' bill would ban intel agencies from domestic spying. Let's go.
Okay, so here's a question we know the answer to. What's the point of American intel agencies? Couldn't be clearer in the law. The point of an American intel agency is to monitor what happens in other countries and then report back to the President of the United States so that he can make better decisions about U.S. foreign policy.
That is
Period.
true.
That's why we have the CIA. That's the only reason we do. These agencies are not allowed to spy on American citizens because that would invalidate democracy. But they're doing it on a...
So this has been a common and ridiculous talking point by the mainstream media that they've adopted lately, that democracy itself is under attack. Come on. But we can have that conversation anytime if they want to talk about the filibuster or the electoral college or how republics inherently breed corruption and that a direct democracy is pretty much the only real way to have a government for the people, by the people. That discussion can be had. But collecting information on people in no way invalidates democracy.
A huge scale. And they're doing it on direct orders from the Biden administration, not a conspiracy theory. It's verified. It's true. Now, new legislation from Congress seeks to stop that. This legislation has been introduced by Congressman Chris Stewart of Utah. The congressman joins us now to explain. Congressman, first of all, thank you so much for doing.
So Chris Stewart's a rank-and-file House Republican from Utah. No ideals, no spine. He opposed Trump in the beginning, just like the rest of them, but as soon as Trump got in office, he fell right in line.
This is illegal. Nobody seems to care. We should care. What would your legislation do?
Well, to emphasize what you've already said, Tucker, the whole purpose of the IC intelligence community, NSA, CIA, and others, is to concentrate on foreign threats, foreign terrorism, of foreign nation states, Russia, China, North Korea. It was never, ever intended that they would look at U.S. persons until this administration comes along and says, those other threats are important, but the real threat we're worried about is domestic violent extremism, DVEs they call them, white supremacy. And because this white supremacy threat is so great, which by the way is nonsense, but by their thinking...
Nonsense. Dang. Nonsense? So it's not that white supremacy isn't a serious problem. It's not even a thing, according to this guy.
Because this is such a great threat, now we need to use the power, the awesome tools that we give the National Security Agency or the CIA or the DIA. We're compelled to use those upon U.S. persons, the administration says. And that's why you have a situation like about a year ago where the Office of Director of National Intelligence, not the FBI, not Homeland Security, the DNI, using the tools of the National Counterterrorism Center, provides a briefing to Congress on what? White supremacy.
Okay, also about a year ago, a bunch of Americans tried to overthrow the government, which admittedly is kind of based, but not because of an election.
Domestic terrorism, it should enrage Americans that they would think that they would allow them to use this awesome power. Hey, if you think you want to build an American KGB, if you think that's a good idea, then keep going down this road. But if you think it's
an American he's trying to use an ad hominem tactic, but he's not even smart enough to come up with anything good. Instead, he just stated a normal fact and acted like he made a revelation. Yeah, the CIA is the American KGB, the American MI6. Yeah, those are facts.
It's a horrible, fearsome idea. Then please work with me. I'm talking now, my members of Congress. Please work with me to try and stop it.
So they've spied on this show. They've admitted it. I've spoken directly.
How in the hell do you spy on the most popular news show in the country?
Directly to two sitting members of Congress whose job it is to oversee the intelligence agency, who told me directly that they were being spied on by the intel agencies and they didn't do anything about it. I wonder how many members of Congress are too intimidated to push back the powers of these agencies.
Tucker, you said in the opening that this is happening on Biden's orders. The weak and spineless Sleepy Joe, right? Why would they be intimidated now when you said 2 minutes ago that they got their marching orders from Joe Biden?
Well, I guess we're going to find out. But, you know, and it's not just members of the press. I mean, we know that the CIA and Director Brennan lied about it when they were spying on members of the Senate. I mean, for heaven's sakes.
True. Former CIA Director John Brennan overstepped his power and spied on members of the Senate. I'm not going to pretend to be outraged over professional liars having their emails read, but I will say it's ironic for Stewart to be criticizing him in this segment where he says he wants North Korea, China, and Russia to be the main focus of the CIA's efforts. It's ironic because Brennan was a hawkish director and criticized President Trump for not taking Russia seriously enough.
Tucker, if the last 4 or 5 years have taught us anything, it has surely taught us that senior members of the FBI and Department of Justice clearly were deceptive to Congress, deceptive to the FISA courts, deceptive to the American people. And now, once again, they want to increase that ability, to enhance that ability by drawing in these other agencies. And once again, there's no reason for it. There's no need for it. By the way, there's enough terror threats and other threats for them to, it's not like they've got extra bandwidth, like they don't have anything to do. And very clearly, the Department of Justice and FBI, that's their responsibility, not the CIA, not the NSA.
Exactly. So nicely put. We are.
Okay, so now he's going to pretend that he'd be totally fine with the FBI monitoring people and combating domestic terrorists. He's only upset because the CIA is doing it. Come on. He's really doing it because he's up for re-election next year. That's why he's proposing a bill at all.